Okay, we're going to call to order the planning committee meeting of Wednesday, April 23rd. It's 4 o'clock. A motion on the minutes. Move seconded. All those in favor, contrary carried. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, May 21st in this very room. We will not have the May 6th meeting. There's only one short item and it'll be picked up as we go on. The first item on the agenda is the application by the Panach Group for rezoning it 9,000 number 3 road from gas service station G1 zone to a commercial mixed use ZMU 61 number 3 road in Francis Road, Broadmoor zone. And the recommendation is it will be with the land use introduced and given first reading and a number of other bylaws. And we have Cynthia and Josh on this one. Cynthia, I guess you're on.
Through the chair. I have nothing to add to the report, but I would like to highlight a few items. So this proposal is for a 5-story mixed-use development containing commercial uses on the ground
We get
floor
some volume?
and 100% rental apartment housing above the ground floor. An amendment to the city's official community plan is associated with this rezoning application to change the land use designation of the subject site from commercial to limited mixed use to accommodate the residential use, and to amend the definition of limited mixed use designation to clarify that the residential use is intended to include purpose-built rental housing. Of the 64 rental housing units proposed, 7 units are moderate market rental units secured with a housing agreement and housing covenant, which will include rental rate and household income restrictions, and all units are secured with rental tenure zoning. The proposed density is 2 FAR, consisting of approximately 558 square meters of commercial floor area and approximately 3,965 square meters of residential rental housing and common floor area. The proposed ZMU 61 zone provides for a limited range of commercial uses on the ground floor to serve the surrounding community, and residential tenure apartment housing above the ground floor, along with compatible secondary uses. The proposed zone also accommodates other aspects of the development, such as site-specific setbacks and landscaping consistent with the city's commercial building guidelines, a 5-story building height, and parking rates that are consistent with the city's market rental housing policy. In terms of residential unit types, approximately 44% of all units are designed with 2 or more bedrooms suitable for families consistent with city policy. Transportation demand management measures are proposed consistent with the zoning bylaw and city policy and include a bike maintenance room, a 1-year transit pass program for all units, and on-site designated car share and small size loading spaces. Road and servicing improvements are required with redevelopment of the site and will be secured through the city's standard servicing agreement process prior to final adoption of the rezoning bylaw. The scope of the works includes design and construction of new treed and grass boulevards and new concrete sidewalks after road dedication along both number 3 road and Francis Road, a storm sewer upgrade, and new water, storm, and sanitary service connections. Should committee and council endorse this proposal, additional design development will be undertaken as part of the development permit application review process. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, is there any questions? Sorry, Carol?
Great. I think this is a fabulous development. If I'm wrong, isn't this very similar to the development at the corner of Williams and number 3 Road?
Through the chair, it is similar in that it's a mixed-use development proposal containing 100% rental housing and above the ground floor and commercial on the ground floor. The difference with this project is that the applicant is proposing 7 moderate market rental units among the total 64 units on site.
Wow, so even better. Question, were we able to fast track this project?
So because it is, through the chair, sorry, because it is a rental project, there has been a priority placed on the review of this project, but nonetheless, it is a complex process. So, we have to afford the correct amount of time to ensure we do a thorough review.
What would it take to change that? I mean, it seems that this is not the first or second. I think this is about the third building of this type or maybe more that we've built in Richmond. What would it take to streamline things so that we could get a, 6-month approval?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, through our fast track program, as Ms. Lucier mentioned, we do move 100% rental projects to the top of the pile, and they are given priority in terms of their reviews. We do work very closely with the applicants in terms of responding to staff comments and direction to ensure that the proposal moves forward as quickly as possible. We move forward projects as quickly as we can based on response times from the applicant also being expeditiously undertaken. I will say that a number of recent changes, such as the zoning bylaw that was adopted last night to deal with reduced parking rates, also helps provide greater clarity and certainty to the development community around what requirements are for 100% rental projects. And we look forward to continue to working with the community in order to help expedite these projects.
Is there anything that council can do in terms of, like you said last night, we created another bylaw about parking. Is there anything that we can do at a council level to make things just click along quicker? Because I'd love to make it so that each project gets completed that much faster than the last one.
Through the chair to Councillor Day, we also as staff learn from each project that comes through our process too, and are revising our processes and procedures in order to best respond to those applications. What I can add is that through additional changes that we made earlier this year around identifying some minimum submission requirements, we are seeing a marked uptick in the quality of applications that we are receiving that is helping to also expedite these approvals.
Okay, getting back to this particular project, there's going to be some family-friendly units, which I'm absolutely thrilled to see. Have we checked to make sure that the local schools have got capacity?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, although this proposal didn't trigger a formal referral to the school board, consistent with our policy, we did reach out to the school district. They did inform us that for the elementary school in the catchment that this site is located in, they are below capacity, and their projections say that, that's not going to change even with this project. And the secondary school in which this site is a catchment, they are already slightly over capacity. It's at McRoberts Secondary School. They do anticipate a slight decrease to the amount of out-of-catchment students that would be going to that school. So they project that enrollment will be relatively the same, and they don't see that this project will pose a major concern there.
And of course, that particular location, because I believe McRoberts is Montessori, or not Montessori, but French immersion, which is always the most popular. I believe Palmer is actually closer as a bird flies.
Through the chair to Councillor, I'm not sure actually. Yeah.
I think it is. Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Andy?
Thanks, and through the chair. Thanks for the report, very thorough, and so was the introduction. I'm also very happy about this project, so I'll be pleased to see it go forward, hopefully. And just a couple of quick comments. I really appreciate the fact that the 7 moderate rental units are included in this, and the family-friendly nature as well. A couple other things that I think stand out are the contribution that's being made to the leisure reserve, but also the setbacks. I think when you're building a taller building, 4 stories, in this case 5 stories, it is important to do what you can to accommodate the existing neighborhood. So the 8-meter setbacks, I think on the south and the east, I think are really good. And also the communication strategy that's in the report or the plan in dealing with the neighbors and the different stratas. I think the applicant has gone a couple extra miles in reaching out and working out the issues that arise from the neighbors and finding solutions that work as best as they can. So I think that's quite good. And the last comment I'll make is just about the landscaped roof. We've seen those in a couple other buildings in Richmond, and I think that those are very attractive features to have as well. So yeah, good application, good report. Thank you.
Michael?
Thank you, through the chair to staff. My question's about the trees, and I see if looking on the map that highlights the tree removals, which is attachment 7 on page 89, and the location of those 11 trees that kind of wrap around. And then I'm comparing that to, I guess, page 45, which shows a lot of the outdoor amenity space in the play area. I'm just curious, where the 11 trees are slated to be removed, is there underground works that are happening and like utilities and stuff? And then is the ground height going to be quite similar? Because if I see the page 44, 45, that kind of edge green strip where columnar trees and stuff are going to be placed in and hedges, almost all of those 11 trees that are being removed, slated for removal, are in that zone. So is there much grade change and work happening to that strip?
Through the chair, the trees that are located on site currently, the drip lines of those trees do go into the proposed building envelope, and some excavation will be required along all of those edges in order to accommodate the construction. So those trees do have to be removed. There is an existing sanitary sewer right-of-way along the east side of the site. And trees cannot actually be replanted in those, in that area. So I believe the plans you were referring to on PLN 44, you do see the new trees proposed along the south, but not the east. The lot grade will remain relatively the same in those areas. So rather than it being the lot grade that's causing the removal, it's the excavation required for the development.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Well, you have a recommendation on the floor. Seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Contrary? Carried. Thank you very much, staff. Okay. And the next item, we have our manager's reports. None? Okay, we'll motion to adjourn. We're adjourned. We do have an in-camera, unfortunately, for the other folks that are here for Public Works. Could you give us 2 minutes outside? And we
Here I am. Okay. Okay, everybody, welcome. We have Councillor Heed online, so he'll be joining us that way. This is the Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting, Wednesday, April 23rd. Do we have a motion to adopt the minutes of the March 19th meeting? Seconded? Perfect. Thank you very much. That's approved. Next meeting is May 21st here in the Anderson Room. Okay, are there any agenda deletions or additions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 1, which is the National Public Works Week, May 18th to 24th, 2025, People, Purpose, and Presence. I like that marketing. All right, we have Mr. Shepherd and Ms. Bycraft. Do you have anything to add to your report? Mr. Hsu, sorry.
Through the chair, I would just like to introduce Nick Hsu to the committee. Nick has been with the city since 2015, and he was successful in getting the maternity leave assignment for Deborah Price Day, who had a baby girl, and so she's been off. So Nick will be filling in for her while he's away, and he will be here to address any questions you have on this report. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Sue. Hopefully you won't run off and have a baby on us. All right, do you have anything to add to the report?
Through the chair, I do not have anything else to add, but open to questions.
Okay. Are there any questions about the open house? This is one of the most successful things that we do here at the city. When we have the public works yard open, it is just a big hit, especially with the kids. And I'm sure Councillor Hobbs will be there with his grandchildren once again, and Councillor Wolf with his grandkids. So thanks to all the staff who volunteer their time. All right, seeing no other questions, all those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, thank you so much. You're off the hook. Okay, item number 2 is the Richmond Water Quality and Conservation Report. Can't seem to say that word. And we have Mr. Sue and Mr. Shepherd. Hello, welcome. Do you have anything to add to the report?
Madam Chair, nothing to add to the report. Available for questions.
Okay, great. Okay, Councillor Liu. Oh, click on you. Where are you? Hold on, there you are. Okay.
Thank you for the report. In one of the appendices, it talks about that there is more chlorine used now than there used to be, and so that's why we can smell it a bit more and taste it a bit more. But the water quality is still excellent. Is there something for the average person to do at home if the smell or the taste of the chlorine bothers them that you recommend?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, I would say just start by flushing your taps. The chlorine is added by Metro Vancouver, not by Richmond.
Not by Richmond, yes. It comes through from Metro Vancouver, but it's higher than it had been, I guess, when I was a kid anyway, but.
Slightly higher.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so if people are sensing it, if they flush their taps for a little bit longer, that smell will go away?
That's correct.
Thank you.
All right, and I just wanted to comment that this is an amazing report. We have 636 kilometers of water mains, and we've managed to decrease our water use by 14%, even though in the same timeline, the population has increased 34%. So I understand, and maybe you can expand on this, that other cities in Metro Vancouver and Metro Vancouver itself does often ask for our data and information of how we've been so successful on this.
Through the chair, or sorry, to the chair, I believe it's our metering program, as well as our leak detection program, combined with education and outreach.
Yeah, well, good job, everybody. And, the council has to take some responsibility too. We approved all the special funding for the meters and whatnot. All right, do I have a motion to accept this report? Okay, then second, and all those in favor? Perfect, that is passed. Okay, number 3 is the River Road Traffic Assessment, and this is in North Richmond, down by, I think, 8 Road and 9 Road. And sorry, I always have trouble, Hingorani, I'm gonna get this right one day. Do you have anything to add to your report?
Madam Chair, nothing further to add to the report and happy to answer questions.
Okay, I don't, try that, Councillor Wolf, I'll just click on you, there you go.
Great, thank you, Chair. Just a few comments to relay from Hamilton residents and the Hamilton Community Association, which I'm the liaison for. So when they took a look at this report, I don't see any of them in the audience to speak to it, but I said I would speak to it then if they weren't here. So first off, they were surprised that the open house that occurred in this report was located at Cambie. I myself used to be a resident closer to Cambie, and rarely would I ever use River Road. Residents in Hamilton use River Road as, in some cases, a lifeline to get home or away because Highway 91 or Westminster Highway and others will back up. So I'm curious why Hamilton wasn't chosen as the open house for this survey.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I can certainly look into that if there was a scheduling issue on the night of the proposed open house. I'm not aware of any issues. It was just the location that staff felt was appropriate for this engagement. There was a mail out to every resident along River Road. We didn't hear feedback from any of the attendees regarding concerns of the location of the open house.
And to follow up on that, so there were surveys mailed to the residents on River Road, but just off River Road, on the east end of Westminster Highway in Hamilton area, didn't get mail outs. And those, again, are probably more heavy users of this portion of River Road. So I think that probably would have given more accurate results to the data, whereas the table shows so much no support, but why would people support any change if they don't even use the space? Next thing I want to highlight for them and my own experience, there's been a significant amount of power outages in Hamilton, more than anywhere else in the city. And a lot of that is linked to accidents along this stretch of River Road. So vehicles, trucks, whatever, go off the road, take out a pole, and it's a very significant power outage. It's not just a quick get the crane truck up and tie something back up. You got to mount a whole new pole. And again, it's partially speeding. It's partially the use of heavy trucks where they're not supposed to be. It's people who are impatient and are passing vehicles on this stretch of River Road, which again, Hamilton residents would see a lot more of that, and it would be reflected in the data. Do you have any comments on those things?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, we didn't hear that feedback through the consultation. We can certainly take it back and review in further detail.
Great. Yeah, so my only comment then is I would like to have staff directed to go back to Hamilton residents, and if not, host another, I don't know if there's a preference, but maybe have another open house at Hamilton, the community center, or do a mail out to Hamilton residents, which I think would be more costly. But anyhow, I think we need to give that direction as committee to get more accurate responses before we leave this alone and not do anything, because the next time something major is going to happen in this region will be over the next few decades as the dike gets raised, and then it will be safer and there'll be separate bike lanes and it'll be less likely for vehicles to hit power poles and all that other stuff. So I think it's at this point we need to get a better temperature read on potential speed management options.
Yes, we have, our manager has something to say.
Yeah, absolutely, Madam Chair. If I can, we can certainly do that. Generally, our policy allows us to do traffic calming improvements based on adjacent residents, not residents that necessarily use a roadway. This is why we've limited the mail out and all of these things to the local residents. We can certainly do more in Hamilton if the committee would like that, but then I would suggest that it would be much broader than that, because while Hamilton residents may use this quite a lot, there are a lot of other areas that also use it, so we might consider a broader mail out if we were to do that.
All right. Well, what's the plan? Like, if this is approved today, would it go to council when?
Madam Chair, we don't have a recommendation, so it wouldn't go to council unless the committee would like to make a recommendation. If the committee would like us to proceed with anything that's in this report, such as installing speed humps, et cetera, then it would go to council. Otherwise, it will not.
Okay, so this is not pressing. Okay, Councillor Hobbs, you're next on the list.
Thank you, and through the chair. Yeah, I'm not on the committee, but just a couple comments about the neighborhood, because there were a few people from the neighborhood that I've been in touch with, farming community and some residents there, and they were actually pleased with staff's conclusion with this report. They do recognize some of the issues on the road. There's obviously some limitations from an engineering point of view, but they do appreciate the fact that enforcement is one of the things that's mentioned. And I think one of the other things that's been mentioned is electronic enforcement, but that requires provincial cooperation. So if we can keep pursuing that, it might be good. It's a challenging road, but it's also a work road, not just for trucks, but for farm vehicles. So I just wanted to express that the people that are living on River Road and just off it, like on 8 Road and 7 Road, actually were supportive of the conclusion that was reached. So thank you.
Okay, Councillor Liu, you have some questions or comments?
Thank you. Thank you through you to staff. So if I understand correctly, there were a number of surveys sent specifically mailed out to, it says 184 surveys were mailed out to each discrete address with 37 responses, so it's 20% response rate. So, so typically I would imagine then if people didn't respond, probably they're happy with the status quo is what we would assume.
Through the chair to Councillor, as Mr. B indicated, that typically is the practice to engage with the residents that would be affected by any changes to the roadway. What we heard from the resident feedback at the open house was that the majority did not prefer any changes to occur on this roadway.
Okay. And then we also have the information that RCMP did issue 29 tickets, but almost half of them weren't for speeding. So 15 were for speeding, 1 was for excessive speeding, but that means half of them were for other things.
That's correct.
Whatever else they were. So while some people speed, that wasn't even necessarily the biggest issue that the police were ticketing for.
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have Councillor Heed on line.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to take a bit of a contrary stance from the councillors that just spoke here, and I'm going to agree with Councillor Wolf on ensuring that we consult the Hamilton community appropriately. And as indicated there, the people that do take these routes, they're taking it for a shortcut. I understand there are some farming vehicles, and that's even reason why we need to make sure that we have the right speed in place here. You recall we just came through a significant discussion dealing with the south area of River Road around Steveston on what we were going to do with that particular area. And I got to tell you, it's not going to be enforcement that's going to solve this problem. It is going to be engineering. So, you know, expecting the police to be out in that area enforcing it continually, it's not going to happen. And I absolutely will support an amendment if Councillor Wolf is going to bring that forward, or a motion with respect to ensuring that we consult the community properly. And that includes the people of Hamilton. They are the most affected by the behavior of these people that are utilizing these streets than anyone else in Richmond. So Hamilton proper needs to be actually consulted to a great degree. And Mr. B, I'm going to disagree with you. We have to go broader for people that use that roadway. No, we don't. The people that are most affected 24/7 are the people that live in that area. So I would support whatever Councillor Wolf wants to bring forward to make sure that there's proper consultation done with respect to that.
All right, well, having said that, does Councillor Wolf want to make an amendment?
I'm not sure if it would be an amendment. I think I would refer this back for further public consultation, such as an open house in Hamilton, and then to bring the report back for consideration at that time.
And would that include a mail out to people within a certain area of the Hamilton area or Queensborough area?
I don't think I need it to be worded that it's mail out to all residents in Hamilton, but I think hosting the public event in Hamilton would suffice.
All right, do I have a seconder for that? I'll second it. Second, okay. All right, well, let's look at pros and cons. It's going to cost staff time to go out and hold an open house and to mail out invitations potentially. What's the downside? Councillor Litt.
Thank you. I think we often want to hear from the people in the neighborhood and what they think. As Councillor Wolf said, it's a lifeline, so potentially slowing it down doesn't improve that lifeline for anyone. I wonder about going back out to consultation again. I feel like keep going out to Hamilton over this road, that road, the next road. either we talk to them about a general plan altogether or kind of hold off on it, because, you know, we've talked to them about Westminster Highway. We keep talking about little bits and corners of Hamilton, and it's not a comprehensive thought to it. We've also heard several years back, we had some people come in and they were very concerned over what was happening. Staff worked really hard with them, came up with all kinds of different solutions, speed humps, this, that. They voted against all that. They decided to keep going with what they already had. So they were heard. It's gone to it, but it seems to be this recycling thing. It keeps coming up every couple of years. People see somebody going fast there, somebody drives off the road. People have driven off that road for years, so we can add some things, change some things, but we're about to raise the dike and add all the bollards and all those things anyway. So, you know, I think we should just hold off on this and accept the recommendation of staff.
Maybe staff could elaborate on what they think could be benefit of holding another open house?
Through the chair, what I can offer is that the results of this engagement were consistent with that done in 2017, 2018, where there's strong opposition from the area residents and community along this stretch of River Road with respect to physical changes in the form of traffic cushions or traffic humps on the roadway. There is a preference to continue relying on enforcement, and staff will work with the Richmond RCMP around that, and at the same time, through the design process for the dike, work towards an ultimate design for River Road that addresses the collision and speeding issues.
And when is the redesign of the dike coming?
Madam Chair, I believe engineering staff can provide more details, but it is at the preliminary design stage, so still a few years off. And so that enforcement piece and advocating with the province for automated enforcement will continue to bridge the gap until the dike has been raised.
Okay, I see Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm not on the committee, but you asked what the downside was. There is no downside. I think when you have a community of, 4,000 people now growing to 10,000 people, and this is one of the communication traffic thoroughfares, to consult with people in Hamilton, I think is extremely important. To say to them, which I'm hearing, that you're not important out there and we've done everything and we did it at Canby, I think it's a slap in the face to the people out there. It's not going to hurt to go for a couple of weeks, have an open house at the school, come in, a few cookies and coffee. Those that show up get to put their input, and I'll guarantee you'll have people look at the issues that we had vis-a-vis the curbs on Westminster Highway. Look at the other issues that we've had along the way. So I'm not on this, obviously. I'll deal with it here. But if it came to council, I would refer, at that time, a referral back to communicate with the people in Hamilton, okay? It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to cost us anymore to do so, and put it out there. Put it on the web, show up tonight. It's like a parent-teacher night. You did it on a parent-teacher night or something of that nature where the people are coming out. So anyhow, I think nothing but positive. For those that you remember, I am looking around there. Remember Mr. Simchuk? Bitched like hell all the time about the J Road and the brakes on the trucks and all the problems that we've had along the way. Nothing has changed. By the way, God bless you, Mr. Simchuk. He left us about 25 years ago, but the issue is still the same. Thank you very much.
Okay, so the motion is on the floor and it's been seconded. All those in favor? Councillor Heath? Councillor Heath, are you in favor of the motion?
So hang on, the motion as is, as the staff is bringing forward, or are we talking about?
Maybe Councillor Wolf could repeat his motion.
It's a referral motion to have Hamilton Open House.
I'm in favor.
All right, I'll be in favor as well. And then opposed is Councillor Liu and Councillor Hobbs. Oh, that's right. But you're always here. Okay, Councillor. Okay, so that is passed. So we'll have staff just do an open house out in Hamilton and consult with the people that are on the other side that are actually the commuters. And let's just double check that this is the right direction that we're going in.
Absolutely, Madam Chair, we can take that on.
All right, thanks for the help. Fantastic. Okay, that takes us to item number 4, which is the Recycling and Solid Waste Management Report 2024, exploring new ways to reduce. And this is a very long report. You spent a lot of time on this. Do you have anything to add to your report?
Madam Chair, nothing to add, but happy to take any questions.
Okay. I'm impressed. Any questions from committee? Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, through the chair. Great summary of all the great things that are being done. Just want to highlight a few and then just, I think, a question or two. So I know we have a ongoing referral in regards to the green ambassadors and potentially finding ways to hook that trajectory from being a volunteer in the city to being a paid employee, or to find good, meaningful work in a similar area. So I know that referral is still going, so that could probably get added to that section in the future. I wanted to highlight and probably ask about on page 112, it highlights some of the residential green cart recycling and then not so much success we're getting out of apartments, condos. So only 12% recycling or diversion of green waste. And so what is the city doing to help address that, to help support residents in apartments, condos, and townhouses for that matter, because their percentage is only up to 13% diversion?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf. So we are always actively working with our multifamily complexes. They are, having them in a centralized environment is more difficult to encourage recycling. There is a lack of accountability when it comes to centralized. So we are actively reaching out to property managers, offering workshops on how to recycle correctly. We do also offer coming into the multifamily complex and hosting kind of an information booth, sharing what can and cannot go into each cart, especially with green cart recycling. Compostable plastics are a big issue going into the green cart. They are not permitted as they take longer to decompose versus organics material, as well as we do our mail-outs as a part of the utility billing. We include an information sheet with tips and tricks to increase recycling in multifamily complexes.
On a follow-up on that note, do we happen to know if there's any buildings in the city that, like apartment, condo towers and stuff, that have carburetors in their sinks? And I'm bringing this up as a way to get around using the green bin and just grinding everything up and putting it into the liquid waste stream.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, I'm not sure if the city has numbers of multifamily complexes that have carburetors. I do know that we have information on our website advising against the use of carburetors because it does obstruct our sanitary sewer system, along with grease in our sanitary sewer system.
I've been in touch with a few people who in other parts of North America are actually pushing to go that way. And I don't know how accurate it is, but they've kind of myth busted some of the claims you said there, that it's actually not contributing to those oil blobs. I forgot the name of it, fat burgers or whatever. So I think it's Philadelphia is one of the cities in the States that's really making a push towards carburetors. I can't remember what the other one is on the top of my head. But anyhow, I think that's still worth investigating as potential, because we see when I take my students to the Lulu Island wastewater treatment facility, they really value the stuff that comes there, right? They can turn it into biofuel, they can turn it into soil, they can turn it into all the stuff. They're like, yeah, we want more nutrients to come our way. So I just see this as a potential solution along with everything else we're doing. Anyhow, moving on, 2 more quick items here. One P.
Madam Chair, can I just clarify one thing?
Thank you very much, Ms. Mycroft.
Thank you. Madam Chair, just clarifying the information on page PWG 112. The 12% from apartments and condos is not the diversion rate. It's actually the percent of the total yard trimmings that we collect annually. We do not know the diversion rate actually from multifamily because we don't collect all facets of their waste. We don't collect their garbage, so we don't have those weights of garbage. So I wouldn't want the 12% to be interpreted as a diversion rate for organics. It's just the percent of the total organics that we collect in the city.
Okay, because they use a private service.
They use private service for garbage, yes.
Okay.
It'd be interesting if we could do like a bit of a pilot just to get a sense of what the diversion rate is. Yeah, I read residents diverted at the top of this paragraph. That's why I slipped that way.
Did you have another question, Councillor?
Yeah, 2 more areas. So one is there's a page that's upside down on page 122. And it's actually a page that I was interested in reading because it talks about the business recycling resources program, which was the focus of my Sentinel article a month ago. But anyway, I think that's a real great piece of this whole project. And I don't know, maybe it's upside down because it's that important. And then the last one I was going to highlight is on page 146, which is about the special event recycling. And that I just wanted to highlight. I had brought some information to this committee a month or so ago about special event recycling, and just wanted to mention that at Metro Vancouver Zero Waste Committee, they're kind of trying to enhance the knowledge of what all municipalities are doing, because everybody does something different and does different service providers or the green ambassadors and all that. So yeah, I think this area could get a significant boost in the next edition of this because we have so many grants that we offer to groups to do special events, and again, they're not that well coordinated. I know we use Ocean Ambassadors to help educate. That's not highlighted here, but I know there's potential for them to do more work on our behalf, to work with organizers of events and all that. So I don't think you have to comment on that, but anyway, those are my comments on that report. Thanks.
Okay, Councillor, let's see, McNulty.
Yeah, just quickly, I'd like to go back to page 112, if I may, for my own edifice, but also others, following up on Councillor Wolf's comment. With regard to those that are using private groups to do the recycling, the residents in an apartment, directly or indirectly, pay Metro Vancouver fees, pay taxes, do the whole thing, same as anything. It's all in their thing. Someone's come out. Do we have a mechanism to get them on board to come to us? And where is that mechanism? Do we have if I wanted to go across the way, let's say across the street here, and I wanted to get them their garbage picked up by the city, if you wish, like we have Sierra. How do we get them on board? Surely it's got to be cheaper to work with the city than it does private. I mean, or am I wrong? Through the chair too. I really think, even around this table, and for council, I was going to ask you this on Monday, how can we get that information out there? Not that I'm trying to put anybody out of business, but I'm looking for efficiency. How do I know where their garbage is going? It's probably going just down the landfill. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Would you like to answer that?
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty. So for Green Cart, all multifamily complexes are required to have Green Cart recycling on site.
Right.
If they do opt to go out to private, they have to submit a form to the city for approval, so we ensure that they actually have access to organics recycling. So that is there. In regards to garbage for multifamily complexes, through the contract that the city has for collection, Sierra, you noted, we utilize carts, which oftentimes doesn't have enough capacity for the tall towers for multifamily complexes. They either have compactors on site or front end bins. So that is the piece that it's difficult for us to offer that service for multifamily and provide enough capacity.
given, we're now trying to get water meters into homes, the new homes, et cetera, is there a way, most of the multifamily places that I've seen have a steel bin. Pull it out in the street, right out there, a couple guys, and hook the tongs in and dump it. Surely we can do better than that. I would like to, I'm not here, but Monday maybe, make staff come up with something so that, I don't think the strata councils know what's going on. To be quite frank, they're just paying for it.
Madam Chair, maybe I can just.
I know people who approached me and said, how do we get on board? I don't know how they get on board.
And Ms. Bycraft, want to answer that?
Madam Chair, just to clarify, the council has the authority, if they want to mandate that multifamily have to go through the city for their garbage and recycling services, should they want to. What Ms. Grosdanich was pointing out was that our service is based on rear load, dump it in the back of the truck. We would have to, and it can be done, but we would have to organize a container truck and start to go into the business of providing containers for some of these larger units. But council absolutely has the authority to mandate that by bylaw. You will get pushback from private companies who are currently doing that now, but you definitely have the authority as a council to mandate that should you wish.
Well, I'd like to see just a memo on the process, just so that we have it, and we've looked at it, and I think it's important to, and then we can say to somebody, here, read this. If you want to do it, it's voluntary. If you don't want to do it, keep paying your taxes the other way. Thank you.
Ms. Bycraft, just to follow up on that, like, could we also in that memo find out where they are taking that waste? Because, I mean, if it's going the same place, then it doesn't matter who delivers it.
Madam Chair, we can follow up with Metro Vancouver to find that out. They do have to follow the Metro Vancouver bylaw around that and report if they are exporting down to the States is the requirement, but we can do some following up on that.
All right. Okay, I believe Councillor Heed has got a question on this issue.
Yes, just in reference to the containers. We used to have container trucks in Richmond. Matter of fact, I used to drive one of them for the city of Richmond. And there was a process, Ms. Bycroft, you may know about that, of how we got rid of, first of all, the residential garbage pickup, and then we got rid of the commercial, which is a container truck pickups. Do you know what year that occurred and why that occurred?
We'll just wait for staff to answer that question.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, it was approximately 1983 when that occurred.
1983, did you hear that, Councillor Heed?
Yeah, I was gone by then, but what was the reason behind that?
Madam Chair, I would have to research that. I can only suspect and, come up with a guess at this stage, so I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, how about we wait for the memo and then staff can answer all those questions. Is that okay with you, Councillor Heed?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. All right. So I had a couple questions as well, especially on the upside down page. The bike reuse pilot program, we put a lot of money towards this program. And according to the report, it says that 61 bikes were collected, and of those, 10 bikes were fully repaired and donated back to the community, and the rest were used for 445 bike parts. So given that we had such a big budget on this particular line item, can staff say what happens if, we're trying a pilot program, if it isn't successful, what do we do? How does that pan out?
Madam Chair, so you are correct. Petal Foundation was the successful contractor that we have, and they come on site and they triage the bikes. A lot of bikes aren't made of the best quality these days and aren't able to be refurbished, which is why you see only the 61 bikes that were identified for potential refurbishment, and then of that, only the 10 bikes are actually being refurbished and fully donated. So through this process, we're learning more about bikes and potential other community partners. So we will be reporting back to this committee and council with recommendations on if we do proceed with Petal Foundation or if there are other avenues to encourage bike reuse in the community.
Because if they weren't repurposed, they would just be recycled as metal, right?
That's correct.
Okay, Councillor Liu, I think you've got a question.
Thank you. Thank you. Through you to staff. Thank you. I was talking to some of the high school teachers, and They do some of the refurbishment, and one of the challenges for some of them was actually paying for parts and things like that. And then also, once they were able to give it to the student, is then paying for locks and helmets. So I think, once we get this finished, then this is something to refer maybe to the school board and offer some sort of partnership with them. Because I think Councillor Day, you had mentioned that someone from McNair does it. There was a teacher, she's split, I think, between McRoberts and Steveston, London, and she does it as well. And then she also takes the broken ones and they make go-karts or something. They weld them together and build other things. So, if they can't make it back into a bike, they can make it into something else. And I think there's other opportunities that, I think that's something that I think this council would probably be excited to support. Sorry to belabor the whole green cart bit. I live in a townhouse. Everybody has their little green cart, but it's only pretty much what's coming out of your kitchen that goes into your green cart, because we have gardeners that take everything with them. I'm that random person that also likes to pick up some leaves sometimes and put them into the bags, but my actual cart itself is a small cart, and then all the rest of all the green yard trimmings is taken away by someone else. And I lived in one of the apartments over here on Minoru, and similar thing, right? So all the grass and all the tree trimming stuff was actually taken away by the gardeners, and then all the rest of the recycling happened like into a separate bins, whatever you do that way. And so, and you weren't producing anywhere near as much kitchen garbage because you're a couple people living in a townhouse, not the same as a big family going through, like as a family now, I produce far more green waste than I did as a single person living in an apartment. So I think some of the nuances are a little bit different, but also you would expect less coming out of an apartment building because they're not mowing their own lawn, they're not trimming their tree, they're not allowed to have Christmas trees, so the Christmas tree can't go in, like on and on it goes. So the opportunity for production of green bin waste should be less in those spaces, if I'm not mistaken.
So, Councillor, do you have then a green bin where you can dispose your green waste?
I have it, yes. Everyone in my complex has a green bin. Everybody puts them out every week, and then every second week the garbage can goes out. So everybody is doing it, but it's a way smaller one, whereas the one my parents has is the 360-liter one, because they're mowing their lawn and trimming their hedge and doing everything, or maybe I'm trimming their hedge, but anyway.
Yeah.
You know how it goes, right? So you have way more. But if you only took your kitchen garbage, you would just have a little, ice cream bucket worth every week, and that would go out. And
So that seems like kind of a waste to have people coming and picking up such a small amount of green
well,
waste.
it adds up. I usually put out every couple weeks, and and other people eat more, and other people do a little more gardening in their yard and stuff, and so they have their garden. But I don't know that this is something we need to pursue further. I think because they have gardeners in most of these complexes, the yard waste is, the gardeners take it, and most of them take it to the recycle place here, right? Because they're allowed so many dumps per day and whatever the rules are. So I don't think it's going to a landfill. If you were running a gardening operation, you wouldn't be paying to dump it. You'd.
All right, well, that's a good conversation. Anything else for anybody? Okay, I have a motion to accept the report. Okay, and all those in favor? Perfect. We'll move on to number 5, which is the public EV charging network, energy-based user fees. I understand we have a member from the public, Mr. John Roston, who would like to make a few comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My main point has to do with a differentiation between level 2 charging and level 3 charging. So I think it's a great idea, and kudos to staff for bringing forward this proposal to go to consumption charging rather than time charging. And that's because the province now allows us to do consumption charging, and that's the way most of the large networks operate. Now, it made sense before when it was time-based charging, because at level 2, it took much longer to transfer the same amount of electricity as you would at the higher level 3. So it made sense to have a lower rate for level 2 because somebody there was going to spend a lot longer charging. However, now that it's going to transfer over to being consumption-based, then it's how much electricity you use. And it doesn't matter how long, whether it took you 5 minutes or an hour to consume that amount of electricity at the charging station, you're being charged for that amount of electricity. So my point is really that the consumption charge should be the same at level 2 and level 3. There shouldn't be any differentiation in the rates. Now, I'm conscious of the fact that commercially, there are commercial outfits that do charge less for level 2 charging, even though they're charging on a consumption basis. These are people who are trying to attract people to their level 2 charging because it's cheaper. But in the city's case, we're really just trying to recover the cost of electricity, and the cost should be the same no matter which level you're using. The other point I'd like to make, and I think there maybe should be a direction to staff on this, is where we're going in the future. And that is that all public charging is moving to level 3. Level 2 is slow. It's the most you can get at a residence. So level 2 is going to continue on for people charging at their residence. But in terms of public charging, the city should be moving as rapidly as possible to level 3. And that means not just asking for new level 3 charging locations, but taking the existing level 2 locations and converting them to level 3. And what that enables us to do is charge many, many more cars at the existing level 2 locations. So in other words, you don't have to add new parking spaces, you're saved an awful lot of money, and yet you're going to be processing an awful lot more in the way of electric vehicles. And so I would like to see not only the city spending money on that, but the city asking the province for money to do these conversions.
All right, those are excellent points, Mr. Rawson, thank you. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it.
Okay, I'd like to have staff come forward and talk a little bit about your report and maybe answer some of the concerns that Mr. Rawson pointed out.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair. In terms of the report and what Mr. Rosted brought forward, what we have put forward and the rates that have been established are using a cost recovery approach. So the city collaborated with multiple municipalities to conduct a financial study on electric vehicle charging rates necessary to achieve cost recovery. Due to the significantly higher costs associated to the level 3 charging stations in terms of the infrastructure, the installation, the hardware, the subscription fees, as well as the ongoing maintenance for this, those rates need to be reflected and higher than the level 2s to achieve that cost recovery.
Interesting. So level 3 is more to operate. It's not just the electricity, it's the cost of the equipment.
Madam Chair, that is correct. A bit of a reference is a level 2 station may cost anywhere between $50,000 to $80,000, whereas a level 3 may be $150,000 to $200,000 and possibly in excess of that.
Wow, that's a big difference. All right, interesting. Okay, Councillor Liu.
Thank you for the report. So in the original prices that you're charging, it talks about $2.25 an hour for the first 2 hours. So how does that compare with 28.65 cents per kilowatt hour?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, if on average, if there was 6 kilowatts per hour, which is generally what we would see for level 2, the translation would be $1.80 per hour.
Okay, so it's going down significantly from, well, not significant, it's going down from what it was. Okay, and what about for the idle time? So you're trying to get people to move along, but now you've basically dropped it almost in half then to 5 cents a minute instead of keeping it at the $5.25 an hour. Why don't we keep it the same?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, the idle fee suggested is because the $5 fee that we currently have is circumvented when you stop your session. As long as you're paying for the session and charging, it jumps to $5 after 2 hours. What people are doing is they're stopping the session from their phone from within a facility, and that charge stops. With the idle fee, it continues.
Oh, okay, I see. But why don't we make the value the same? Like, why don't we charge 15 cents a minute?
So.
Get them to
Chair,
move along.
Yes, through the chair. So we're the first municipality to actually have idle fees for level 2 charging.
Okay,
And so we thought a happy medium would be to have this fee for level 2 is to encourage people not to stay for free, but also not to be punitive enough that we would maybe perhaps discourage people from using a charging station.
okay. But reasonably, they could be, does it take 2 hours to charge your car?
For level, through the chair, through Councilor Liu, for level 2 charging, it can take anywhere between 2 to 14 hours, depending on the size of your vehicle's battery.
Okay. But we don't want someone to sit there all day for 14 hours in our spot, right? So the way we had it before was it was $2.25 for the first 2 hours and then it goes up. So there is a price difference to get people to go home and charge, basically.
If I may, through the chair to Councilor Liu, from what we've seen in terms of level 2 charging, the idle fee that we have proposed is from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. and oftentimes we aren't seeing people in those stations for longer than 2 hours.
Okay.
After that time, in terms of how level 2 charging is used, it's not often on the go, and so it's utilized after 11 p.m. for a long charge of, say, 14 hours. But during those peak times from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., for example, we are not seeing users of the stations in there for longer than 2 hours generally.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Wow, interesting. Councillor Wolf.
Thanks, through the chair to staff. Could you comment on the potential for having a lower cost rate overnight? I've read that the Tesla supercharging stations from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. are significantly lower because of the electric grid is used less intense at those hours. So is there an opportunity for us to encourage more charging at our public stations at that time window as well?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, in terms of the overnight rate, staff at this point don't recommend reducing this, and this is just to align with the cost recovery approach that has been set based on the rates. It also aligns with what the current structure has been set from other public entities within the region, such as the City of Vancouver.
Okay, thanks. And then I'll just follow up on that. You've mentioned now this cost recovery approach a few times, yet with the idle time, you're not really utilizing that for cost recovery, right? You're taking a smaller amount where perhaps if we were charging more per minute in the idle time, that would support the cost recovery approach, would it not?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the intention of the idle time is really just to encourage the proper use of the stations themselves. We haven't necessarily found ourselves in recognizing significant issues with level 2s creating any impact or negative spending too long in the charging stations. So this is something we haven't recognized for level 2. The level 3 rate is actually the idle fee is in excess of the rate itself. So it does encourage users to move along for that. But staff will continue to monitor and evaluate this, and if it's noticed that there is abuse in terms of idle fee, we will bring forward future changes if it should be advisable or necessary.
Great, thank you. Just here, one more question. In Gary Point, the solar charging station, I know it's not focused of this report, but is there any changes to the rates there? Or?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the rate would be based on kilowatts. So that particular station doesn't charge as fast as our other level 2s. So people would be paying for what they use, which will be more fair and equitable for them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Second. And I just wanted to ask one other question. So we heard from Mr. Roston that level 3 charges far, far, far faster than level 2, and that would help move people along quicker because they wouldn't have to be plugged in for as long. What are our plans for the future as we move forward?
Madam Chair, we currently have, there's an approved capital submission for up to 30 level 3 charging stations in 3 various locations. It's the Miniru Precinct, the Richmond Curling Club, and the South Arm Community Center.
So we're moving in that direction no matter what. Interesting. Now, everything's changing so fast, it's hard to keep up. I would imagine this is a living, working document, and that as more technology and more innovation comes forward, that we'll be bobbing and weaving with what comes forward? Yeah, okay. All right, well, all those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Number 6 is the 2025 Provincial Pesticide Use Permit Renewal Application, and this is to allow for, well, it's actually for comment by the ministry provincially for chemicals to kill highly invasive species. Eek, sounds horrible. Have you got something to add to that?
Nothing further to add, Madam Chair, but I would like to take the opportunity to introduce you to Nadia Chan.
Hi.
Pardon me, who's the new Manager of Environment. She has about 21 years of experience in the natural resource management sector, in the public sector, in fact, from the City of Surrey, and has disciplinary training in ecology, invasive species management, urban forestry, bylaws, and planning.
Wow.
And with that,
Surrey's loss is our gain. Thank you very much, and welcome to the city.
yeah, and with that, we are available for any questions on the report.
Okay, yeah, I talked to staff about this earlier, and we don't use chemicals unless we have to, but there are some cases that there's just no other alternatives, and maybe just touch on that briefly.
Yeah, absolutely, Madam Chair, through you. The city does take an integrated management approach for invasive species management. We do use the cautionary use of pesticides when it's a last resort. An example of that would be knotweed. Similar to this program, the province has, over the last decade, tried to employ non-chemical methods to these particular species without any effort, which now does rely on the use of chemicals, and it's shown some great benefits as far as the reduction of growth in the estuary.
And a lot of this is driven by the province, correct?
That's correct. This is a provincial program. It's licensed through the province as well, and it's monitored through the province. And our comments will be submitted to the province to facilitate the permit and the permit conditions.
And then the last question I have is on the map on PWT 179 shows the area that we're talking about, which is on the Sturgeon Bank Wildlife Management Area. Will that in any way affect I think it's Ducks Unlimited and the work they're doing just south of this location?
Through you, Madam Chair, to you, no, it would not. It's non-invasive. There wouldn't be any restoration works that would impact the works that have been done there previously. It would be all foot access and application of pesticides with backpack and foot access.
So we've thought it through.
Correct.
All right. I think there's been a motion, seconded. All those in favor? Perfect. Okay, moving forward on our very long agenda. Okay, where are we? Next one is number 7, the 2025 Liquid Waste Management Plan Biennial Report. Mr. Ho, hi, welcome. Do you have anything to add to your report?
Madam Chair, nothing to add to the report.
Okay. Do you have any questions? I just want to ask a couple of questions. Again, all residential properties and commercial properties have water meters, and 60% of multifamily units have water meters. What actions are we taking to get that number even higher?
Madam Chair, we are currently implementing the Universal Multifamily Water Meter Program. Started in 2023 and endorsed by Council, and the target completion for that is 2039.
Yeah, great. And then I know Councillor Liu sits on the Metro Board for the sewer issues. I understand that Richmond is one of the cities that that does not have combined sewers, that we have our rainwater separate from our sewer system. But places like, I think it's Vancouver and New West combine everything. And what's Metro planning on, well, actually, maybe I'll ask Councillor Liu and you, what is Metro going to do about that? Because in the report, it states that by, I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, is it 2030 that, 2050 that they want it separated? Do you have anything to add to that?
Madam Chair, that's correct. Metro has indicated a target of 2050 for the Vancouver surge area.
Yeah.
And I believe it's 2075 for the Fraser surge area. And having those municipalities separate their systems would be very beneficial regionally in terms of effectively managing sanitary sewers.
Yeah, and then we are going to encourage, it's the funniest thing, the sewer lateral. I'm going to explain to the homeowners, providing incentives to homeowners to replace private sewer laterals. Can you explain what that is?
Sewer laterals are where private properties it's the connection between private property to the city's system. So in Richmond, the issue we think is not as severe as it is in other municipalities. Richmond has one of the lowest, if not the lowest, I&I rates in the region. So highly attributable to the council-supported capital and operating programs. We're operating a very effective system. So we don't believe that that's a very large concern in the city.
Okay, but do we let homeowners know that they have private sewer laterals and that they can replace them? Like, how would someone know that?
Every property that has sewer service would have a connection or a lateral that's connected.
Okay, all right. Councillor Liu, let's see if I can click on you. There you go.
Thank you. I'm not actually on liquid waste anymore because the mayor is the chair of it and they figured he could handle Richmond's portion of it. But part of what they're doing is they're going to bring in a wet weather pricing to start when municipalities are discharging too much into the sewers because it's the rainfall that's coming in. They're going to start charging more for that because our rainfall is not going into our sewer system, it's going into our storm system. It doesn't affect it as much. So we don't tend to have overflows of our sewer here of the liquid waste facility here in Richmond because we've separated the two sewers. And just, I'll say, I&I is influent infiltration. So what happens is you've got your sewer line that goes to the main trunk sewer from your house. What happens is trees, other things, they grow into it and then water leaks into it. So there's more water ending up in it than should be in there. And so when you can figure that out and then reseal it, then you don't have the influent infiltration. So in some places it's a bigger issue than others. Definitely tree roots growing into things causes that. Older things happen, and so that's where you pick it up. And part of our success is our water metering. And I will thank Mr. Ho. He was involved in a pilot project with me for water metering, and he was very instrumental in giving lots of good information. There's 21 communities who are going to be getting $50 million to do pilot water metering projects throughout the province, and Mr. Ho was involved in that. And so thank you for that.
Great work. And so for the public that maybe don't know what we're talking about, all the rainwater goes to storm sewers and all the sewer water and whatnot from the houses goes to the sewer pot. In my case, one's in the front of the house, one's in the back. But in Vancouver and New Westminster, it's all in one pot. And so do you really want to be putting through the, like the Iona plant, for example, stormwater? It's a waste of time and energy. So I understand that Vancouver and New Westminster have said that the reason that it's all combined is because their houses are so old. We built them so long ago. But in the village of Steveston, we have houses that are in excess of 60 years old. And I understand we have it separated even back then. So Richmond was a forerunner even back when the village was being built. Is that correct?
That's correct, Madam Chair. Richmond's systems are completely separated.
Yeah, so we can be proud of that. All right, do we have a motion to accept the report? Okay, those second, and all those in favor? Perfect, sounds good. Okay, where am I next? Am I on 8 or 7? No, 8, right? Tell me, guys. 8. Okay, Metro Vancouver Liquid Waste Management Plan. Mr. Ho again, do you have anything to add to your report?
Madam Chair, nothing to add.
Okay, perfect. All right, any questions? And, nope, okay, all those in favor? Perfect. Number 9, I actually brought forward, which is the press release from TransLink, and it's on page 326 and 327. I'm going to ask Mr. Nathanovich to come forward. He had a few questions about this, and then after you've brought up your questions, we'll have staff come up and clarify anything that needs to be clarified.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Nathan Davidovich, and I publish the Transit News weekly alternative buzzer every week. The new transit deal announced on April the 10th is not sufficient, and we should demand a better deal. Many other agreements between provincial and federal governments are for 10 or even 20 years. We need the same with TransLink. We should not beg every year or two for a new agreement. But we need a proper open governance of TransLink in the same way that municipalities have open meeting rules as mandated by the BC government. We cannot have a transit agency where most of the business is in closed meetings. In other provinces, transit is under municipal or regional governments, and that is the way it was in Metro Vancouver from 1979 to 1983, when GVRD was in charge. But the social credit government has changed that model of good governments, and then now, the present minister, Mike Farnwood, Minister of Transportation and Transit, is the same minister that was in charge 25 years ago, and he and former Deputy Premier Joy McPhail got us the bad TransLink organization. And then again, another former minister, Kevin Falcon, completely changed TransLink in 2007 with a new act, and instead of one board, there's 2 board of directors. In comparison, for example, Edmonton has been in charge of their transit system since 1908, and yesterday actually was they celebrated the 47th year of their LRT service. Many extensions, of course, have happened since 1978 in Edmonton, and on per capita basis, both Edmonton and Calgary have more light rail transit than Metro Vancouver, and we have about the same population if we combined Edmonton and Calgary compared to Metro Vancouver. So we are behind. Municipal councils in Metro Vancouver are kept in dark. The TransLink Government Relation Department is just a big public relation department. They do not provide proper information to our municipal council. We need to return back to 1979 when the GVRD and members municipality were in charge. It will take some time for councillors to understand our transit systems. Most councillors do not have someone like Harold Steves, who knows the sad history of transit in Metro Vancouver. He was one of the few councillors that were pro-transit in the 1970s and 80s, and until he retired in 2022. Now Harold Steve cannot even take the 480 bus to give lectures at UBC, like he used to. Richmond needs a proper network of local and express buses. On Friday, April the 25th, the 3 Richmond directors on Metro Vancouver will rubber stamp the recommendation to approve the new transit deal, like they did in 2024. We need a proper long-range, stable funding model, not 1 or 2 year agreement that would set up back instead of forward. Higher fares will reduce ridership we already have the highest fares in Canada, especially for seniors, teens, and low income.
You're just about out of time.
So
Did you want
thank
to
you
wrap up?
very much.
Don't finish up. It's okay.
Yeah, that's
You're okay?
that's pretty much.
Well,
yeah,
thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions? Councillor Wolf?
Yeah, thank you, through the chair, to Nathan. If we were, or sorry, not us, because it's not our decision on Friday, but if the decision were to not support that 3-year deal, what do you think could be that alternative that the Metro Vancouver Board could ask for? Could it be like a 1-year deal, and then in that 1 year, work towards the reform of TransLink and to a longer type of deal? Do you think that that could be done within a year extension?
That could
or
be
something?
done within a year because you have to go to the legislator and introduce the new act to change things and so forth. So yeah, it take about a year to make proper changes to TransLink for both the governance and the funding. So we have something for the next 10, 20 years, that's stable,
One follow-up. For all of the Metro Vancouver local governments, do you think Richmond has more need to take this on? And if so, why Richmond?
Well, Richmond is one of the original cities that had transit since 1900 or so, and together with Vancouver and the North Shore and Burnaby. And the expansion into the suburbs, that's happened in the 1970s, and so, I mean, Richmond has suffered since BC Electric was taken over. I mean, the Steveston Interurban was closed in 1958. And, so there is lots to gain for Richmond by trying to get the right amount of transit and get some of the service that was here before even,
All right, it's a great history lesson, very interesting. Thank you very much. Maybe staff would come forward and answer a few questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
So one of the questions I had was, this is only 2 weeks. I mean, it started on, it sounds like April 10th, and this ends tomorrow. 2 weeks doesn't seem a very long time to do a public engagement. Do you have any recommendations of, should we write a letter to ask for an extension, or what are our options here?
Absolutely, Madam Chair, we can take direction to provide feedback to TransLink on that basis. I believe there's been a lot of information in the public domain about the impending transit cuts due to the fiscal challenges that TransLink's having. Thankfully, they've got a plan that prevents any transit service losses and in fact increases transit service in the region by 5% across the board and works to longer-term transit-related improvements. The 2-week turnaround time has been published, it's advertised, so they are doing a lot of outreach to ensure that the public is aware of the period available to them to provide that feedback. And perhaps if anybody does have concerns with that, they will also provide that feedback that the timing wasn't long enough.
Great. Is there anything else you wanted to add to the?
Madam Chair,
Oh,
if
Mr.
I might.
Yeah.
Like, as I recall, like I'd have to go through my notes, but the completion and the implementation of their plan has to be done legislatively in the near future. I can't remember if it's by the end of the month or shortly thereafter. So this consultation period was short to try and meet those deadlines.
Okay, so due to the provincial guidelines.
Yeah, I believe so. I'd have to check with that, but I'm pretty sure it's in that kind of nature. And I think that it didn't start earlier because they didn't have a commitment on the funding side.
And what has the city's response been to this survey?
Madam Chair, we think that it's okay. I think that at the end of the day, though, in the investment plan, we would like to see extension of the platforms for Canada Line and that sort of thing.
And would
That's
that
what's
be-
absent.
I mean, extending the platforms to the Canada Line would allow for far more users, is that correct?
Yeah, Madam Chair, my concern is that I feel that Canada Line, there's a lot of development along Canada Line, both in within Richmond and in Vancouver. I believe that it will take some time to implement. So I think when we think about that, we're thinking 5 or 6 years into the future. And I feel that when I ride Canada Line, it already feels like it's fairly crowded at rush hour. So I think we should be thinking in that direction.
So maybe a letter from council requesting that the platforms be extended, but then that would also mean the trains would have to be extended.
That's correct, Madam Chair.
Yeah, have you heard anything from TransLink about getting extra cars to the Canada Line?
Madam Chair, they did add some cars, or they're in the process of it. They had bought them prior to the pandemic, and my understanding is they were to be implemented in spring of this year. So we were trying to find out today if they were actually done or not, and we could not find out, but we can certainly find out by next Monday.
All right, well, let's see where the discussion goes. Councillor Wolf.
Yeah, so thanks to the chair to staff. So sometimes when there's a feedback or comment period, committees will get a look at what is about to be submitted on as a city comment. Did a city comment happen in this feedback cycle for TransLink?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the engagement is focused on public feedback.
Okay, so, but if we hear delegates and letters to us that kind of go through your department, can that not be kind of collated and summarized? And then instead of those 100+ people with all their individual issues, can't we just kind of summarize, here's a bunch of issues that we've heard of from our residents and submit on their behalf?
Absolutely. Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, if that situation presents itself, we can certainly do that.
Okay.
Can that happen tomorrow?
Madam Chair, if I can, through you to Councillor Wolf, I think the challenge is that this process is being run by TransLink, right? So they're receiving all the responses. We have not received any responses or any comments from the public, to be honest. So we would have to request that information from TransLink and then collate it and send it back to them.
So I get that. We haven't, the city hasn't received comments specific to this plan, but we have heard comments about the high fees that we pay, the unfair 3-zone fare structure, that there's no senior or youth discounts, or as much discounts as other areas are given, the very limited overnight bus services when people get off the Canada Line on the last run. Like, sure, we didn't hear the public comments right now during this period, because hopefully they're giving their comments directly to TransLink, but we should have a lengthy list like our delegate has in his blogs on all the things that make Metro Vancouver's bus service so poor. So can we not, I know maybe that's a tough one to turn around for tomorrow, but let's start accumulating that list, that ask, those demands that we need for our riders today and riders of the future.
Madam Chair, through you to Councillor Wolf, yeah, we can certainly do that. We can certainly look at what's come up in this chamber and in our council chamber over the last 2 or 3 years, and we can certainly put together a comprehensive letter. I don't know that it needs to be done by tomorrow, like both the city and both the representatives and staff have brought this up at TransLink on a number of occasions, but we can certainly put it together, and I don't know that we need to do it by tomorrow. I think that certainly any input we have can be addressed subsequent to the completion of the public survey.
Okay, thanks. I just have one other, I don't know, a motion I'd like to make. I don't know if it's entertained here or not. But because Metro Vancouver Board is making a decision on Friday, I wonder if this committee, or my motion is that this committee write a letter to the Metro Vancouver Board asking for a change from this 3-year deal to a 1-year deal to hopefully get us to a 10 to 20-year deal. So to not be satisfied with a short-term deal under this model, but to trigger a greater change in the structure and the funding model. I would like this committee to take some ownership, and that we'd have to make the decision as a committee to do this. I know it'd have to go to council, which is then after the Metro Vancouver decision date. But still, I guess it's as quick as we can act.
Let's get clarification from our city clerk. Yeah.
Hi, Madam Chair. Should the committee proceed with the letter, it would need to go to council. So a motion be put forward to today, and it'll proceed to council on Monday.
Okay, so Mr. B, I mean, you said that we have ongoing conversations with TransLink. So while this 2-week engagement is for the public, it says public engagement begins. So we're not tied to those dates, is that correct?
No, not necessarily. They, like I said, they will always receive our input whenever we like. And, at this point, I would say that Mayor Brody is on the Mayor's Council who will be reviewing this. So, that might be a place to look at that as well. What I would say about the funding deal from the province is this has been a long negotiation. So I would take that into account, if we're asking to do a shorter duration rather than a longer one.
Okay, Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, thanks very much. I'm just glad to see Mr. Diva that's knew the history of Steveston. It was pretty good on what he was saying about the interurban in 1904, and where we had the finest transportation system in the province of British Columbia, and then went all the way up to Chilliwack. And that's how the western. Anyhow, I'd like to, I'm not on the committee, but I think a committee would be wise to, in my opinion, to look at transportation on the global aspect. We were lobbied for a bus to UBC from Richmond, Simon Fraser to Metrotown. We got bus routes with our voice over the years. And I think we need to be continuing lobbying for transportation, no matter what it is, because it's not keeping up with growth. And we thought growth manages the growth without the infrastructure, but it doesn't. So my suggestion, by Friday, it's too late. It's the day after tomorrow. Whatever happens there, and I'm not so sure it'll be resolved. But I think we need to be lobbying. TransLink, in my opinion, needs a whole shakedown, a whole looking at what it's going and where it's going. So, but I think we as a city should be constantly lobbying for improved bus routes, SkyTrain, whatever. And I think because we are a hub up here from the casino, we're a breakout point elsewhere. So I'm not sure how the committee wants to go, but I think it's something we should have a formal discussion and not overreact to it. The mayor is on the Mayor's Council, but he's got to be our voice for now. But we need to have constant letters from the council as a whole. So I don't think you can resolve it tonight, but I think following up, I think we need to come up with a plan on it. And constantly, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
Keep banging at the door. Eventually, well, we got it, as I mentioned, the 3 I mentioned, we banged at the door and we got them. Now they've been cut out. And our residents in Steveston are complaining about the bus being full of 412 and the 406, not enough room on it, et cetera, et cetera. Well, let's do something for them as well.
Okay, Councillor Heed is online, so let's hear from him.
Yeah, I just want to ask Councillor McNulty if he actually rode the interurban in 1904.
You're right, I did in 58.
I have to agree with Councillor McNulty, though, in that we need a more comprehensive look into this. And I think we need a solidified position coming from council as a whole on this entire issue. I think this period in the game, there's not much we're going to be able to do to influence it. But certainly going forward, I think, like we've taken strong positions on secure care and various things like that, I think we can take a stronger position and put that position forward to whether it's Metro, TransLink Council, the province, or the feds with respect to Richmond Council, not just the representatives at Metro Vancouver and not just our representative on the TransLink Mayor's Council. And, if we want to do this from a council point of view, Madam Chair, I think we need to look into this a little more thoroughly and then go through the whole process with having that correspondence drawn up and forwarded to the respective levels that we need to get it to.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Hayden. We have Councillor Liu has a comment. Oh, no, sorry.
Madam Chair.
McNulty, I apologize.
Madam Chair,
Oh, so sorry.
thank you.
Go ahead.
If it may assist the committee, as mentioned, staff have been advocating for a number of initiatives with TransLink over many years.
Yep.
Perhaps it would be important to summarize those in a memo in front of council agenda, whether that be the extension for the platforms, the nighttime bus service, increased service. We've worked on this for many years repeatedly, but it'd be nice to summarize those for council, and then maybe there could be referral motion or a letter could be written based on those summary of advocating that we've been doing.
Yeah, kind of like steps to next steps. Is that what you're thinking?
Correct.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, Mr. Roll. Yeah. And that explains it for you. Okay, so, well, that's, what do you think, Councillor Wolf? Do you want to make a motion, or do you think we should wait for that memo and find the right steps to take?
I think both would actually be valuable because we don't necessarily know who's going to be representing Richmond at the Friday meeting. Councillor Howe, who's on this committee, is not here. Maybe he's not going, maybe an alternate is going on his behalf. And if we had a motion passed here, even though it hadn't gone to council yet on Monday, it could still be mentioned during the deliberation before the vote, saying our City of Richmond Transportation Committee just put this forward, that we should actually be asking for a 1 year, not a 3 year, so we can get to a longer deal. So I see value. I know one committee member kind of spoke that maybe not to do it, but I don't know about Councillor Day and Councillor Liu, what your thoughts are, but yeah, I know one has seconded my motion, so I guess
Well, it's on the table for discussion. We're not making a motion. I think we're trying to work through the process to find what is the best foot forward. Because I don't think that if a motion made here can go straight to the representative for Friday, it has to go through council. So no matter what, it's too late. Am I wrong? I mean, because Councillor McNulty. Yeah. I think maybe we should consider, I think it's a great subject. We had a great conversation. We should wait for the memo, and then maybe we could put this exact item, just the way it sits, on the agenda for Monday, and then let's make a motion with all the council so that we can give direction to our representatives on Metro. Does that, so you're on Metro, what do you think? Councillor McNulty? Yeah. Do you want to put your mic on? And Councillor McNulty, why don't you put your mic on and tell us what so everyone can hear you.
I mean, I'll bring it up.
Oh, sorry.
I'll bring it up on Friday, and I'll put it on the floor, but we'll have to see where it goes. But I think, as we heard from staff, the long term is really where we want to go. I mean, we can't put a Band-Aid on it. Friday we'll put a Band-Aid on it, but we're going to put a full dressing on it next year and the year after and all those things. So I think that's the way to go, to be quite frank with you. Put Councillor Will's resolution forward, put it in the books, because this is the kind of discussion I think we need to be talking about. We need to be documenting what we're talking about, and we're doing twofold.
So you're saying start it today and then complete
Put
it
it
on
on the
Monday?
floor and also get the memos
Get the
from
memo.
staff and we're too full, we are discussing it, we are going to take it forward, we're going to continue lobbying. We're not just going to stop here.
As you've
Because-
already, as a director, you've already been doing that on Metro, lobbying for Richmond.
No problem, we'll continue to lobby for, and I'll talk to the mayor tomorrow, and we'll come up with some wording or whatever on it.
Okay, let's hear from staff once
If
again.
I may, Madam Chair, there's currently no motion on the agenda, so a motion is needed for it to be placed on the council agenda on Monday.
Okay, so we need a motion for the letter and a motion to add this item
On the
to the
agenda.
council agenda for Monday.
That's correct.
Okay, so we get, so make your motion, which I believe was that we write a letter to TransLink from the city's perspective, asking for a 1-year deal instead of a 3-year deal so that we can tweak it and not just go with the 3 years. Is that what your motion was? Okay, I'll second that. All right, all those in favor? Councillor Heed, can we hear from you? He's in favor. So that's passed. Second motion is that this agenda item, the TransLink press release, be added to the agenda for Monday, which is a full council meeting, and then we have more valuable conversation, and then we ask that staff prepare a memo with options forward. Okay, all those in favor of that? Okay, all right, that's passed. Good. Are there any managers' reports?
Madam Chair, we'll be providing an update on the capital projects highlights events that launched today. So this year, in place of the one-day in-person event, Capital Projects Highlights Board Gallery has been set up in the ground floor at City Hall. This is open to the public starting today, running until May 12th. And it will be open during regular hours and up with extended hours on Mondays up to 7 p.m. And this gallery includes project information boards on select capital projects. As in previous years, we will also have the online component of the capital projects, which will be hosted on Let's Talk Richmond. And this includes projects from engineering, public works, transportation, buildings, district energy, public art, and parks. And there's information and photos, locations, and contact information for these projects. And they're accessible through an interactive map that encourages visitors to virtually tour the projects and ask questions through Let's Talk Richmond, and that'll be available up to June 8th. This event is being promoted through the city's website, on social media. We've also got QR codes on posters and mailouts, as long as ads on transit shelters and at our community centers. And we've also mailed out approximately 2,500 postcards containing a brief description of the projects, some photos, projects, locations, and information on the online event and the in-person event.
And can you just expand on those postcards? I believe we talked earlier that they were going to be sort of specialized, certain neighborhoods for certain projects. Is that correct?
Yes, typically they're for the projects that have some upcoming construction this year. There's some project information, some photos, some maps, and the contact information for the city project managers.
Wonderful. Okay, Councillor Liu, I think I've got you right this time.
Thank you. Are we a voting location on Monday? So will there be some cross-pollination of people coming in to vote and checking out the capital projects possibly?
Yeah, so on Monday, the 28th, City Hall will be open. So the event, we're, again, promoting that up to 7 o'clock. So again, if people are here in City Hall, they will be available to view.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's great that we're doing that. We didn't get great turnout when we had the open house previously. So having it open for longer and having people just be able to walk through and ask questions via email and the QR codes seems to be a more practical, more modern way of moving forward. So thank you for organizing that. Any other questions? Are there any other managers' reports? Seeing none, call for adjournment. All those in favor? Perfect. We're adjourned.